Morena koutou, ko Pauline Tangohau ahau, ko Ngāti Whakaue me Ngāti Rangi Wewehi aku hapu ki te taha taku mama, ki te tahu taku papa, te ati haunui a Pāparangi. Okay, gee, this is a little bit roundabout, but I suppose for all of us who want to improve housing circumstances of our whānau, my little pūtea, and I mean it's little, for those of us in here who've had the opportunity to access it, you'll know how small it is. But what I do is build relationships actually, and it's not just about money, it's about the information and sharing of learnings, models, before you actually get to apply for the Special Housing Action Zone Fund. This fund was actually started in 2001. Minister Turia was still with Labour then, and the approach is very similar to the whānau order approach. It's a bottom-up. It was a 4-year pilot, and then once the pilot came out in 2004, when it completed, Minister Parikura wanted it to remain. And so we've been operating under the radar really and supporting a lot of initiatives that are around the country, and you're probably going to hear an approach that's sort of accelerated housing developments for Māori on Māori land. The fund was originally targeted at the far north, east coast and eastern Bay of Plenty. So when I get to the end slide where the funding has gone, and particularly I've sort of just captured the last 5 years, you'll see that it's probably still going to those same locations, although we've actually pushed it out now to other regions as well. Okay. What do I press? Okay. I just want to Chief Executive, Michelle Hippolyte, and she has taken us through a refocusing or reskinning using the tuatara analogy, if you like, that it skins itself every year and then we relook at where we're going. So, and this has just been released, our statement of intent is to support the government's strength and Treaty of Waitangi partnerships and facilitate iwi, hapu and whānau Māori to succeed at home and globally. We do this in 3 main ways. Arihitanga, which is by providing leadership and guidance in Crown, iwi, hapu and whānau Māori relationships. Whakamaherehere, by providing advice to ministers and direction to agencies on achieving better results for whānau. Principally, we are a policy ministry, so we give that secondary advice across all the agencies, that's health, education, and so on. Housing, of course. And the, what's the third one? Where are we? Oops, I lost my paper. Oahatanga, and that's about whānau achieving greater quality of life, I guess, our contribution to that. The focus of our performance is on achieving meaningful and demonstrable gains against the 3 long-term... He ara whakamua is about, I suppose, we can weave in the whānau order concepts as well, which is iwi, hapu and whānau Māori achieving greater self-sufficiency and self-reliance. And housing developments can do that. Whāinga ki mua, Māori are more secure, confident and expert in their own language and culture. In the Vote Māori appropriation, we provide support to the Te Māngai Pāho, Māori Television and a range of other groups, I suppose, out there delivering our reo and culture. Oranga mua, whānau Māori achieve greater quality of life. And this is, I suppose, where housing actually fits, or in my view anyway, because I'm a housing person. health, MSD and education all contribute to the oranga āmua. So, back to the SHAZ. It's a framework really. It's about a community in need, and I think if you look outside the box of just a community where we might think, oh, it's like a little township or something, it's more than that. It's about our hapu, it's about our whānau, and so normally a community in need would exhibit, a few of these things. You might have low-income whānau. It could be in a defined rural area, township or suburb. Whānau might be experiencing affordability problems, poor housing conditions, high unemployment perhaps, isolation, discrimination, and a range of demographic factors and a shortage of skills. And I suppose we can all relate to that in some way. It's about a bottom-up approach. It's about how a community defines itself, what are their perceptions of need and how that community might engage with the government to improve their situations. It's about community capacity, and I suppose this is where the SHAZ support could come in, and it's about providing support to build their capacity so that they can start addressing those other issues within their community. It's about a whole of government approach, and it's about building the relationships with all the government agencies who have a role in improving whānau Māori housing aspirations and conditions. And again, this is where SHAZ could come in. It's about providing support for robust planning and a framework so that communities, land trusts can start planning and improving our whānau's opportunities. Right, the intent of the program was to target communities rather than individuals. The SHAZ project has two phases. It's capacity building, and it's the fund that I administer. I also understand that Minister Turia has bid for and secured more capacity building, which would be administered by SHU. Is that right? No. And then we have capital funding. And originally, the capital funding came from Housing New Zealand, and they had a suite of products that they could provide out in those communities. Now that with the social housing reforms that have been introduced, Housing New Zealand have been refocused just to, and I can let them talk about that. The social housing unit was established as a quasi-unit, but they're actually under the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, and they administer Pūtea Māori, and they will tell us about that. Right, here's my little fund. It's an appropriation from Vote Māori, and it's $500,000 per year, GST inclusive. So I would probably normally get out about $456,000 a year, but it's exclusive. It can be used for a range of things, project establishment, conceptual design, technical and professional advice, the reports that you might need. If you're utilising Māori land, there's a lot of work that needs to go into that, and project management. But we need to have a discussion if you're interested in wanting to pursue that line. We work closely with other key agencies, MB in particular, Housing New Zealand and Kiwi Bank. Puni Kōkiri has an input into we just have a commentary role, if you like, into the products that Minister Turia has been able to secure for us in this Māori housing space. Other work streams that I'm involved in is with ECA, Energy Efficiency Conservation Authority, the Warm Up New Zealand housing program. So in a community, with need, if we go back to the other things, it is about insulating whānau homes as well. We've supported Māori organisations to participate in that area, build their capacity, I think, of whānau who may want to get into, I don't know whether you want to call it a business because you don't make anything out of it, but you're actually insulating the homes. A good example is up in the far north, He Iwi Kotahi Tātou Trust, and they apologise today because they're preparing to celebrate for their 5,000th home that they've insulated in the north. There's another one, Tūwharetua and Raukawa joint partnership in insulating homes in the central North Island. Yeah, so we have an input into that as well. While this position, I suppose, is about working with Māori organisations, any queries that come into Te Puni Kōkiri from individuals, we respond to as well and talk through what it is that they want to do and then refer them to the appropriate agency. I want to give you a snapshot of where the funding has gone to over the last 5 years. Tai Tōkero, as you would expect, has got the bulk of the funding, and it's for a whole range of initiatives. It's not just building on Māori land, and probably they're lagging behind in that area, but they had quite a big role, some of the organisations up there, in assisting Housing New Zealand to deliver the rural housing program. And I'm not quite sure whether everyone in here is familiar with that, but it was about fixing the, maintenance work really, just making people's houses safer. It probably didn't go far enough, and that's just my personal view. Yeah. So yes, Tai Tōkero is a targeted area. Tāmaki, there's Māori land in Tāmaki that's being utilised for housing, so we've supported a few projects there. Waikato, as you know, has got heaps of land, and their planning is happening now through Kirikiriroa, the Runanga. Te Moana Toi, I'll just leave that one because we're going to have a presentation by somebody later on. And as you can see, it's just a few other areas. Whanganui Tara and Te Waipo Namu, while they might not have accessed SHAZ funding, they've accessed the Māori Potential Fund, which is another fund that we administer in TPK. And I don't know whether Victoria's here yet or not, but I'm just going to show you, that's the end of my presentation. This is a whare that Horaparakite Whānau started in 2009. This is a communal whare, which was their main focus originally, but there's 5 homes on this papakainga. So, that's it.